Here's a question for you. Do you have a family member that you just know will do everything they can to get your share of the money from your rich aunt, uncle, or even your parents when they pass away? Billionaire hotel owner Leona Helmsley just left $12 million to her dog and nothing to 2 of her grandchildren. The battle over entertainer James Brown estate has been going on for almost a year, with dozens claiming that he's their dad. If an inheritance is headed your way, listen up, because today we're talking to families fighting over the will. My first story involves 4 sisters fighting over their aunt's will. Now, there's Barbara and Carol against Linda, and then Pat, who says she's like Switzerland. She's just neutral in all this. Aunt Virginia's original will divided her estate 4 ways. Pat, Linda, and Barbara were each going to get $10,000, and Carol, the youngest, would get the remainder of the trust, approximately $400,000. But the will changed after Aunt Virginia went to live with Linda. The final will was split 6 ways. Barbara, Carol, Linda, and Pat would now each get $72,900, and so would Linda's 2 children. Now take a look at what the sisters have to say about all this deal.
There's 4 girls in the family. I'm Barbara. I live in New Jersey. Patty's in San Francisco. Linda is in Syracuse, and Carol lives in Florida. We're not speaking to each other.
The problem is my aunt passed away and the will was changed last minute towards my sister Linda's benefit.
Under my Aunt Virginia's original will, it was set up that 3 of the sisters would get a $10,000 trust, and the remainder of the estate would go to my younger sister, Carolyn.
Aunt Virginia, she just always took more of an interest in me than anybody else.
When Aunt Virginia decided to split up between 6 people, my children and my 3 sisters, myself, my children also got money, and that's the bone of contention.
I love all my sisters. The issue isn't the money, it's that one sister, Barbara, believes that Linda is a liar, a thief, that she coerced my aunt.
I don't have a deceitful or conniving bone in my body.
Linda started working on my Aunt Virginia to manipulate her. It wasn't fair the way she had written her original will, and perhaps it should include her kids.
According to Aunt Virginia, Carol had asked her for an advance on her inheritance of about $30,000. That's when Aunt Virginia changed her will.
I never asked Aunt Virginia for money. Linda made this lie up. Linda, she's a pathological liar.
I can't imagine my sister Carol doing that. I hear what my sister Linda tells me. I'm trying to stay neutral.
Linda was always preoccupied what my younger sister Carol got from Aunt Virginia. I think in my gut, Linda wanted to even the score. When Aunt Virginia was no longer able to live on her own, Linda pushed very hard for her to move to Syracuse.
Linda said she could fix up her porch and my aunt could stay with her. So Aunt Virginia made the offer, I'll give you some money to fix up the porch. When there's money involved, Linda goes all out for her own benefit.
This is the room that the controversy is about. This was an enclosed porch and make a viable bedroom for Aunt Virginia. But as you can see, it's not the Taj Mahal.
It was just a coincidence to me that this was the one room that she had talked about for 10 years. She always wanted to upgrade, but it, costs a lot of money.
The bottom line to this is it's Aunt Virginia's money, and Aunt Virginia did with it as she saw fit. The woman cannot be manipulated.
So what are y'all most upset about?
Okay, the lying. She used me as an excuse, told everybody that I asked my aunt for an advance on my inheritance, which I would never do. I never asked her for
Linda
that.
said that was the basis of all these changes, was the fact that Carol had asked my aunt for her inheritance
Just
in
don't
advance.
ask people for
let's
their
address that.
inheritance.
Did you do that?
No. heck
You
no.
didn't ask her for a $30,000 advance?
No, never. You just,
Okay.
it's morally wrong. You just don't ask people for inheritance.
Morally wrong, yes, but the liar here is not me.
Oh,
what
hell
happened
it
was,
ain't.
excuse me, I'm talking now. What happened was my aunt told me I have no reason to fabricate, nor would it occur to me to fabricate something like that. And I just said, that's what she asked for. I told Patty, is what, I didn't tell everybody, I told
One
Patty.
of you's lying.
Right, I would
Yeah,
be
and
embarrassed if
unfortunately,
it came
Virginia-
out that I asked my aunt for $30,000 on her deathbed.
So you think she's lying because...
Absolutely.
Why would it, like, you didn't do any of the other lies?
Which
Like,
lies? Which lies?
Okay, the lies about, oh, Aunt Virginia paid for the down payment on my house.
She told me that.
There was no down payment.
She told me that. She told
she
me she
paid
paid
for
for the board on your horse. She told me numerous times that she's paid towards your rent, for your clothes,
Oh,
towards
you
your
even
medical
said
bills,
that
towards
she paid
all
for my
of your
schooling.
life. She
I'm still
supported
paying a
you.
school loan.
Why is this an issue? Who got
Well,
what?
this is, it
What'd you
doesn't
wanna say?
matter. The
What'd you
point
wanna say?
is,
I don't understand what the difference is. Who cares
Well, let me
who got
finish.
what? Is anybody keeping score?
Well, you are,
apparently
because
so.
my kids
Everybody's
got
keeping
some of the
score, and it's
money.
added up to 72-9.
I have heard so many things that I cannot believe.
Good act, Barbara. Good act.
Yeah, well,
act.
Where's
you
the
know.
acting coming from?
Oh, I wonder, Carol.
Yeah.
Real embarrassed, aren't we?
No.
That this came out?
Hell
Come
no.
on.
That's why I'm here. I want everybody to know you're the liar.
Guess what?
I don't
Wrong.
have to guess.
Let me hear from Switzerland over here.
They're so opposed, and this fighting between Linda and Barbara has been going on all their life. It's very hurtful to me, and it's very upsetting because our family is very small, and we're all we have.
But you know that this has gotten to a point where it is fracturing this family.
Absolutely.
I mean, you have said that you believe that your sister Linda is greedy and dishonest.
Coming from somebody who queens in that.
You said that growing up, she was hanging out drinking with a motorcycle gang. You were listening to Mozart and playing a
Yeah,
violin.
we were like Oscar and Felix.
Oh,
really.
God, hanging out with a
Yeah.
What gang was that?
You said she pressed very hard to get Virginia to live
Oh,
with her.
yes, I did.
Yeah,
I pressed her all her life. The woman was always at my house every Christmas. The woman bought us school clothes when we were kids. The woman bought my children school clothes. It's called reciprocating.
Do you believe that the will is forged? Or do you think she
believe that's a
manipulated
distinct-
her into changing it?
I think it's either or. I think that's
So you think
really
the document could actually be forged?
possibly.
Barbara's world.
Okay, well, you're in Dr. Phil's world now, and I'm going to have questions for everybody here. Today, we're talking to family members who are having a fight over the money, a fight over the will. Now, Barbara wrote in because she feels like her younger sister, Carol, was unfairly cut out of the family will. Now, Barbara says she cannot imagine why her aunt would change the trust unless it was their older sister, Linda's doing. Now, Fran, Barbara's mom, says all this bickering between the girls just needs to stop.
The whole incident with Aunt Virginia's estate and listening to the bickering going back and forth was very disturbing. Barbara's so funny and she's so talented, but you could just turn around and reach for a glass of water, and when you turn back, she'll zap you with something terrible, and then it turns into turmoil. Linda took Aunt Virginia into her home to care for her. Linda gave this dying woman all the care you could give a dying person. So of course, I'm on the side of Linda. Barbara, I'm not even sure she visited Virginia even once. I'm going to expose somebody. Initially, Carol was getting most of the estate. She went to see Aunt Virginia and asked her for a loan on her inheritance. After that incident, Virginia redid her will and had it divided in 6 equal parts, including the 2 grandchildren. I think Aunt Virginia did right changing the will. She realized that divided evenly and there'll be no hassle. And it's still a hassle. It's not about the money anymore. Now it's a battle of egos. They all have their money. I don't understand why it isn't just left alone and everybody go about your business.
So your mother, with no firsthand knowledge, just by what she's been told, seems to think that you asked for an advance on the inheritance, upset your aunt, and she changed everything.
Well, I don't
Is that
understand.
because Linda's programmed your mother to feel that way?
I haven't spoken to my mother at all about this. She's never even asked me about it. So she's only heard it from Linda.
Right.
So you told her?
Sure.
Okay.
I
well,
have-
you know that she doesn't, Carol doesn't have a real high opinion of you right now.
Oh, she rarely had a high opinion of me. She gets her information from Barbara.
In fact, you
She's my
said that
sister. I know her. I'm sorry.
you said Linda stabbed you in the back when you realized that she was a liar. In fact, you said Linda is a backstabbing bitch that I never want to see again. She is an up, and I'm going to kick her ass.
Oh, that's immature. A little
shaking.
immature. Oh, hey, I'm scared.
Yeah, I said that. Yeah.
Why would you say that about your
She
sister?
hurt me. She lied. That the whole thing she started.
Where did you get your information from?
No, it's just a whole series of lies. And just the initial lie about me asking for money. First of all, I don't need the money.
According to your other sister here, Barbara says that you are a sociopathic, fat bitch.
Right.
Now, seriously,
It's printed out and handed to him.
We did a lot of angry emails back and
Yes.
forth.
I just have a question for anybody. Anybody miss Virginia?
Yes, we do.
Yes.
I mean, we've interviewed all four of y'all, everybody, top, side, and bottom, every way possible.
I took care of her.
Ain't a one of you said anything about, hey, I'd give it all up if I could have my aunt back. I mean, is this all about the money, or do you miss your aunt?
I don't think it's about the money. I think it's an issue of these two hating each other forever. I said, you know, if my aunt changed her will, it was her business. It's her money, and she can do with it what she likes. I don't believe she was manipulated ever.
But you have to understand that it kind of fails the smell test from somebody just looking from the outside in. When she has a will that's been set a certain way for a long period of time, then she moves in with you, and then in a very short period of time, the will is changed, and your children are added. So you have to understand that doesn't pass the smell. That can smell funny.
Okay, so do you want to know?
Did you take her to the lawyer?
No, I did not. She took herself.
Were you there with her when she was
No.
at the lawyer?
No, I was not.
She met alone and talked to the lawyer
She
alone?
went in one of those medical vans and her aide. The only thing that my husband gave her was the elder attorney that handled my mother-in-law's estate. She took it upon herself to call him, to take the I don't know what they're called, medical vans with
we
the
got you.
health
We
aid.
got you.
Yeah.
But you got her the lawyer.
And she went there and I don't have any vested interest in this man.
She didn't get this lawyer out of the phone book.
you
Y'all
wanna hear the
provided
whole
her.
story.
Y'all provided the
Yeah,
information.
right.
And she went and changed it. And all of a sudden, instead of passing the money on to her children, she all of a sudden included yours.
If they had children, it would have been split between their children as well. That's not, I never set out to do anything. I have told her all along, anytime you want to come live with us or in the area, if you feel the need to be near family, you're more than willing. She chose to move up by me, got sick, ended up in the hospital, ended up in a nursing home, wanted to get out of the nursing home. Where is she going to go? Barbara didn't offer, Carol didn't offer, Patty didn't offer. Well, you know what? Maybe she didn't want to go by you. So she came to my house.
Well, today we're talking to people who are having a fight over the family will. Now, Barbara says that her Aunt Virginia's will was all set to be divided among the four sisters, with the youngest one getting the most. But when Aunt Virginia passed away, the will was split 6 ways to also include her sister Linda's 2 children. Now, Barbara thinks her sister must have influenced the aunt to change the will. Linda says this is typical Barbara, who always jumps the gun.
Patricia and I are very close. Linda and I are very close. Barbara and I are on and off.
My mother took alliances to Linda. My mother has called me a troublemaker and a shrew.
My first memory of Barbara is trying to push her head through the slats in the playpen.
The people in my family think of me as the big troublemaker.
It's not like you're a troublemaker. It's just you like to speak your piece and make everybody face reality.
What's at the heart of this fight is Barbara hating Linda.
This is before Barbara could talk. See how I'm smiling?
In one of the emails that I remember the most, Barbara called Linda a sociopathic fat bitch.
Whenever Barbara had perceived somebody as being wrong in something, she would just not talk to them for a year or more. I've spent a couple of years with Barbara not talking to me.
Barbara and I didn't speak for 5 years. Why? To this day, I'm not really sure.
When Barbara and I aren't talking, it hurts me. It was Mother's Day several years ago. I didn't even get a Mother's Day card. That hurt.
Carol is the other one that hasn't received the wrath of Barbara.
It's like a bouncing ball. It's up, it's down, it's up, it's down. You know, I'm getting worn out. It's enough already.
Are you the troublemaker here?
Here, yeah, I'm definitely the pot stirrer, because I want some answers. I want to raise some questions. All I want to know is why. But in my family, if you raise questions, you're the troublemaker.
Without asking for the facts.
But see, you were out of this will that existed, you were going to get $10,000. You got $62,900 more than you were going to get if the old will was in place. So what's your beef?
I just want to know if there was an injustice done.
Injustice to who?
Probably injustice to Carol, and if my aunt was manipulated in any way, I think that's morally wrong. It just bothers me. The whole thing just stinks.
You got like a 600-700% increase here.
Yeah.
In what you were going to get, so you made out financially better.
How often did you call your aunt? How often did you see her?
No,
twice. Once in the nursing home.
I'm not going to debate this. I don't think it's relevant.
But I mean, that's how concerned she is about the aunt.
Well,
she never visited, never called.
actually,
in fact, the last call that was made was from her husband, who said, well, I guess.
Well, don't look at me. If you got something to say, say it.
I guess you're not going to see your niece Barbara ever again. Nice thing to tell a dying woman.
That's a lie.
I was standing there, Barbara. It was on speaker.
Oh, my
she's
God.
so dramatic.
When I heard that,
my God.
Dramatic, God.
Oh,
Don't give anybody a
please.
chance to talk.
I can't,
shut
I
up.
can't believe
Oh,
the
you know what?
lies.
Do the quiet one. Shut up.
All right, now, wait a minute.
And
All
when
right,
Aunt Virginia was
what is it about the kettle that you think is so dramatic?
If she would base her situation, her questions and everything on any kind of fact, she would have an inkling as to what went on.
Does anybody agree on anything here? You heard her husband say you're never going to see her again. You're standing on the speaker box.
Because my aunt is hard of hearing, and she had it on speaker.
Okay, so you heard it.
You're never going to see
Were
her
you
niece
there?
again.
I was standing there when Tim found out he was fired as executor. I'm pretty sure this is the
wasn't-
conversation.
no, it was
and
after
so my
that.
husband said to Virginia, you realize I can't help you anymore.
Oh,
I'm not
stop with the
executor.
martyrdom.
There's nothing more I can do, Aunt Virginia. And that's when she just said, don't worry, everything will be all right.
Yeah, but that's not the conversation I was talking about. The conversation was later on.
Do you care about your sister?
I do.
Do you care about her? I mean, y'all talk about each other like you just absolutely hate each other.
Well, I think we hate each other now.
No, I just hate the situation.
We just finally got back on track. and-
Yeah.
Why do you have such angst about her? I mean, you were
It's
supposedly...
about the lies. It's all about the lies. The fact that she lied, I feel like I've been deceived,
Another one
backstabbed.
that never, I can't say never.
Talk
Called
to
her
Dan,
three or
talk to
twice. Three or four times she called her, came down twice. And
I live
other
in
than that,
Florida.
didn't
She's
call
up
her
in
weekly.
Syracuse, New
She
York.
pays for your airfare.
Yeah, like I can take off work every week.
How about Friday night to Sunday? She's paying for the airfare.
Boy, I'm just wondering how I can wangle an invite to Thanksgiving at their house. I mean, this is... Well, I've been talking to four sisters, actually listening to four sisters, fighting over the family will. Barbara says that her Aunt Virginia's will got changed before her death. She says once her aunt moved near her sister Linda, the money flowed freely in Linda's direction. Now, the two sisters haven't spoken in months. Now, Scott Schomer is a Los Angeles-based attorney who deals with probate, wills, trust, conservatorships in his daily practice. He says there were some ways that Linda could have really safeguarded herself against these allegations. Why do you call it the perfect crime, Scott?
It's because Aunt Virginia's not with us anymore. She's not here anymore to defend herself. All we have is a document and a set of circumstances. It's easy to cast aspersions at somebody. In Linda's defense, it's not unnatural for people to feel a lot of, thankfulness to people that have helped them through hard times. So in many ways, this is not unusual. But on the other hand, if she's the only one that has access to the elderly person, to Aunt Virginia, that's the problem.
Well, for example, this will, as I understand it, or some of the ancillary instruments at least, said that if there were transactions over $1,000 that they had to be approved.
For power of attorney.
And you wrote 13 checks just under $1,000.
There weren't 13.
Well, actually, there were 13 checks.
Oh, okay. So maybe there were.
Just under $1,000.
Can I tell you why?
That's what I'm trying to get to, rather than the
The
seminar.
power of attorney isn't invoked unless she's declared incompetent. She was never declared incompetent. When I asked her,
Didn't you
how do
say you
want me
wrote
to handle?
13 checks just under $1,000
couldn't
so you didn't
write.
activate the process?
No, so I didn't have to put up with his arguing.
Isn't that what I just said?
in different words, I guess. I didn't want to have. He
Well, I mean,
said
come
I
on,
had
you're
to ask
talking around.
permission.
You're talking around this. I'm just, and I'm not. Listen, I'm not saying you did anything wrong. I don't know. There was a $1,000 cutoff. If you wrote a check over $1,000 and was subject to review.
Right.
And then you started to give me a legal seminar about why that wasn't a fact. But I mean, common sense. That's basically what it said. You wrote 13 checks in the final, not the hours, but in the end of her life.
No,
you
I
wrote
wrote them building the room that she was.
You wrote
gonna live
13
in.
checks just
Right.
under
Okay.
$1,000,
Right.
and you said to our producers, you said, I stopped short of the $1,000.
So
I'd
we
break it
have to
up
deal
so
with
I
it.
didn't have to deal with it.
Right,
I
exactly.
mean, that just seems to me manipulative. I don't know. I mean, call
No,
me
my
silly, but it
aunt-
just seems like that's.
My aunt
Less
had
than
a
genuine.
short period of time in which to get out of there. She wanted to get out of there, and we had to do it in 4 to 6 weeks.
Does that pass the smell test, Scott?
It does not, Dr. Phil. I think you're absolutely right. There's a reason they put these standards in here, and she's obviously working on a way to get around it.
Isn't the bottom line here that you say this is perfect crime because it's just probably not much these guys can do about this if they think something went wrong?
I think that's correct, Dr. Phil.
You never know. You can go file papers, you can take it to court, but bottom line, there's probably not a hell of a lot you can do about this.
No,
if you think
no.
something's been done wrong about it. The question becomes, I mean, can I resolve the money matter here? No. I don't know. Would you sell your sister for $72,900?
No.
I mean, come on. You guys, I'm one of those people that kind of does believe in karma. And I don't know. I hear people fighting over money, and I just get this visual in my head of vultures picking a carcass. And I go, it's just really distasteful to me. Your aunt lived her life. She did what she did. The money has been distributed. Everybody benefited in a windfall fashion. Isn't there some point at which you say, you know what, I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to cheapen myself by spending the rest of my life being bitter towards my sister over some money that's gone. I mean, it's just.
Not in this family.
But Dr. Phil, it's not about the money. Between me and Linda, it's not about the money.
We always got along until then. Until it was the money.
You
Until
can't
I
even
heard
agree on
about the
why
lies.
you
From
currently hate each other. And what I'm saying is, look, family is family. And, money comes and money goes. You can get more money. You didn't have any entitlement to any of this money anyway. This is a total windfall. Somebody lived their life, they worked, they saved, and then they died before they could spend it all. And now, So, I mean, what difference does it make? Can't you just put that behind you and decide, okay, look, I'm going to try to do something to take the high ground here. I'm going to try to be, this situation, like so many I deal with, needs a hero. It needs a hero. It needs somebody to stand up and say, you know what? I'm not going to react. You can call each other names and drama queens and manipulators and stuff, but the point is, life is too short, and you guys are going to miss so much fighting over this money. You've said really ugly things about your sister. You've said really ugly things about your sister. And you're just kind of there going, I don't want to hear it. At this point, I think you've got the best strategy of the whole thing. I'm serious. You're saying, I'm not going to go there. The money will be gone soon if it's not already. You'll spend it, it'll be absorbed by life, and you'll be right back where you were before you got this windfall. But will you have the relationship with each other? And I wish you would. I hope you do.
How do you get past the hurt
It's a
and
choice.
the lies? And,
It's a choice. It's a choice. I mean, it absolutely, I can talk to you about it till I'm blue in the face, but it's a choice. You just have to decide, I'm not going to put my energy there. I'm going to decide to let this go. It's your choice. You can embrace it. You can become a prisoner of bitterness and resentment and anger and victim city, or you can just say, I'm going to live my life and be happy, and I'm going to wish everybody in my family well. It's a choice, and adults can make those choices. Just think about it. Today we're talking about families fighting because of an inheritance. Now, Sandra says she and her husband Patrick started fighting about money since, by their description, They blew his over $100,000 inheritance in less than a year. Take a look.
Patrick's father, when he passed away, we inherited his log home.
That log cabin that my dad built with his own hands was my dad's dream house.
We were unable to finance the remaining mortgage, so we ended up selling the property. That's caused a big conflict between us.
I just kicked myself. He worked his butt off and he built that house, and I go sell it for over $100,000, and then we blow the money.
When we had all that money in the bank, we went a little bit crazy.
We bought 5 cars. I bought a GM truck. I traded that in for the brand new Dodge. I didn't keep that truck either.
I bought a Dodge Durango. We bought a vehicle for our daughter.
About a week after we bought it, she crashes. And then we bought her another Dodge.
Home furnishings. I found out I was pregnant with our son Jake. He had the nursery that every kid's dreamed of.
Flat screen TV.
iPods. We put $20,000 down on the house that we ultimately don't have now. We took the kids to Florida. We were worried about money again about 9 months later. Patrick feels guilty. He thinks his dad's looking down on us and that now we have like a black cloud over us, like we have bad luck.
We live paycheck to paycheck every week. This would be our second bankruptcy. And a lot of that money could have been used to help my daughter go through college. Me and my wife argue every day about money.
I don't want to hear about it all the time for the rest of my life. I know we don't have money.
She don't want to be around me. A couple times she said she'd like to divorce me.
I'm sick of the kids having to deal with it. That's why I threatened to divorce him.
I'm just trying to figure out how to get my life back together and maybe make my wife happy again.
I wouldn't care if I were in a cardboard box in the corner as long as everybody was healthy and alive and I didn't have to hear about the house anymore.
So why did you do it? I mean, did you guys, why did you do it? Why at the time did you not go, you know what? This is not going to last forever and we need to be responsible and conservative here? Because you describe it like you were spending money like drunken sailors on shore leave. Did a voice inside your head ever say, whoa, shut down here?
Well, what happened was we talked when we got the house and everything, and we tried to get it financed for I don't know how many people, at least 5 or 6 mortgage companies, and then we sat down and talked since we couldn't get it financed, you know, because he only owned like $70,000 left on it, and nobody still would finance because of our credit, and so then we decided to put it on the market and sell it, and then we talked about after, you know, when we do get the money to sell in the house, what we were going to do with it. You know, like put a lot of it away for our daughter's colleges.
But you went and bought $50,000 worth of cars, right? I
Yeah.
mean, was nothing ever said, whoa, stop?
Yes, we talked about, I tried to get cars that were more reasonable and not blow the money on getting the dream car that he's always dreamed of, and we fought about that at the time. We fought about, I ended up trading down on my car because I felt so guilty about spending that kind of money on a vehicle, and we knew we had a baby on the way.
How does this lead to talking about divorce?
Well, it's to the point where I'm sick of fighting about it anymore. I'm ready to...
But it's over, it's done, it's gone. I mean, it's like you want to debate the election the day after it's held?
Exactly. It's been drug into the ground I don't know how many times. I'm sick. He's like a broken record. Every time something comes up where money is involved, well, if we hadn't done this or that with the money that we had, well, we don't have that money anymore. It's gone.
But you're not mad at her about it, you're mad at yourself.
How I felt,
Yeah,
I
he
think
beats himself up,
how
but
it started out is I didn't want to even think about selling the log cabin, and because it seemed like to me my wife and my 2 kids at the time and my daughters weren't happy out there at all out in the country, and I didn't want to see that, and so
well,
that was
Pat wasn't doing any of the work involved in trying to finance the house, trying to get the mortgage with the credit, the way our credit was. Hauling the kids 40 miles each way back and forth to school and work. I was working in a job 40 miles away that I had been at for 10 years. And I didn't want to leave my job. And
So you were having to do an 80-mile round trip every day. Okay, look, this, I mean, the sisters I was talking to before kept saying it's not about the money, it's not about the money, it's not about the money. I have said a million times, you don't solve money problems with money. You don't solve money conflict with money. That's just not how it works. And if you walk around feeling you got a black cloud over your head, it's your job to move it.
A couple of years ago, We lost my grandpa's house. We had to sell it because we are having financial problems. I've heard my parents fighting about it a lot lately.
Like my dad won't get over the fact that we sold the house, and he like kind of resents my mom for it.
Right now I'm living on campus because I kind of wanted to get out of the house. I try to avoid coming over to avoid fights. It's really hard to get loans for college because of our financial situation. This semester is almost paid for. I don't know what I'm going to do next semester.
I wish I had $1 million. I would help them.
Well, Patrick and his wife constantly fight about money. You can see the kids have a big reaction to it. Sandra says it's only gotten worse since they wasted an inheritance on 5 new cars, a new TV, furniture. Now they only have 1 car to show for it, can't afford to pay for their daughter's college tuition. She says her husband just keeps on dwelling in the past. You know, your daughter just said, I wish I had $1 million because I'd just go make it right. That wouldn't make it right. Because you feel like you were really stupid, right?
Yes, I do.
And it is really hard to take stupid back.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's hard to take stupid back. You can't unring the bell. The money's gone. And the question now is, what are you going to do about it? You clearly are depressed about this. And on the one hand, I feel for you because I know that when something like that happens, you feel really bad about it. But it's over. It's over. And here's the deal. This is what I always try to get people to understand. When you do something like that you really think was stupid, you think was bad decisions, irresponsible, however you want to label it, however you want to call it, and it just happens and then you suffer it, then that's penalty. But if you learn from it, it becomes tuition. She's talking about her tuition. You paid $100,000 for an education that ought to fix you for the rest of your life in terms of money responsibility. That's a $100,000 education you got, because I suspect the next time you get in a position of having a little discretionary income, I suspect there's not going to be a big truck rolling up out front and a boat and a bunch of toys and that sort of thing. So if you learn from it, then it's tuition. If you don't, it's just penalty. Don't let this be penalty. Let this be an education. Let this be tuition. But you know what would be really tragic? Look, money is the most replaceable commodity you'll ever have. You cannot replace a year spent depressed. You cannot replace a year with distance with your daughters. You can't replace your daughters saying, I'm glad to be living on campus because I don't want to go around there because those people whine all the time. That's what they're telling you. So the worst thing would be, the cost right now is not $100,000, it's $100,000 plus peace of mind, relationship with your wife, relationship with your daughter. You said you can't take back stupid. You're still doing those things. Stop it now. Stop the bleeding. It's over.
I worry about money all the time, and I think that's where a lot of our fights come.
But stop worrying about it and start managing it. You know, worrying's like rocking. It's something to do, but you don't go anywhere. Don't worry about it. Learn about it. I mean, set up a budget. Get a plan you can both be excited about. Be partners in this. Sit down with your daughters. What do we need to do here? Guys, you got next semester coming up. Let's look at student loans. Let's figure out whatever we have to do. Get a part-time job. Get a student loan. Do whatever. Come up with plans.
I am working 2 jobs. Yeah. That's one thing.
Yeah. And the rest of the time, you're busy being depressed and kicking your own ass. Yeah. Right? Yes, and I'm telling you, the cost is not the 100. The cost is what it's doing to your life. You can stop the bleeding right now. You've got to make that choice. You're driving her crazy, right?
Yeah.
Definitely. Not that you look crazy. I'm just saying, he's driving you crazy.
Sometimes I feel crazy.
You've got to give yourself permission to say, bad chapter, that's over. How old are you?
I'm 41, I'm sorry.
Okay, you got another 40 years to live. How much fun you think you are to live with right now? God, I'd rather get a root canal than sit down and talk. Really, give yourself a pass. It was dumb. It's over when you say it's over. You know, Patrick, when I said that I think you're depressed over this, I think that's a reactive depression that we sometimes do when things happen in our lives. And I think you would really benefit from some help to unravel that. It's over your head, and I think you need to sit down and talk about some of those things, and then be proactive and come up with a plan, both financially, family-wise, and emotionally going forward. And I'd like to make some resources available to you to pursue that. If I do that, will you avail yourself of it?
Sure will.
Okay, that's what I want to know. All right. Do you have a story or a question for me? Click the link in the description and tell me what in the world is going on.